Hello there. So, if you're making dozens or hundreds of calls every day and you're struggling to get people to convert, you're struggling to get people to answer, then you are probably struggling with spam likely. And we're going to talk about how to fix that today. I'm going to show you 3 simple steps to clean your phone numbers and skyrocket your answers by over 500%. So here's the problem. When people get a phone call from you, you look more like the dude on the right. You look like this slimy, scammy salesperson who's probably just calling to rip them off. And it's happening most of the time without even businesses knowing that it's happening. You could be doing some legitimate stuff. Most of the people that we talk to, that's what they're doing. They're not doing anything wrong. They're paying for ads. They got leads coming in from those ads. Those leads are interested in hearing from them, yet they're showing up as spam. And there's a lot of things that are happening that are causing that. One of those things is that there's a lack of awareness. The people that are receiving your calls, they don't know who you are. And what ends up happening at the end of the day is your effectiveness is diminished. And the impact overall is a significant loss in business. So 76% of your calls will go ignored because they don't know who you are. And if you're showing up as spam likely, less than 5% of those calls are going to get answered. Most of them are being filtered by the carriers even. So if we can improve this, your clean number is going to produce 30 to 40% answer rates when you do this. And it's going to make a massive improvement in your overall business. So here's the first step. The first step is you want to make sure that your number is clean in the first place. I don't know if you know this, but about 80% of newly purchased phone numbers from any carrier, from any provider is going to be burned. It's already bad. It already has a poor reputation before you even get a chance to make a phone call. And so what we've found is, there's a simple little strategy that you can do to clean that up. Now, obviously, the first thing you have to do when you register a business with a provider like Twilio or Telnex or one of those types is you need to register your business profile. Okay, you put your business profile there. You're going to tell them who you are, all of those good things. Now, if you're working as an agency for clients, you're going to do the exact same thing for your clients. You're going to register your client, get all of their information, and you're going to provide that information to Twilio, and you're going to create a business profile. Then you need to apply for Stir Shaken. Now, the cool thing about it is that whole process from registering for your profile, once it's approved, to getting Stir Shaken takes usually about 24 hours or so. It's very quick and efficient. You don't really need much. It's not like A2P where you have to provide information about the campaigns and all of that stuff. Not yet, at least, but you just provide who you are and that you want to have the Stir Shaken registration, and it's handed out like no problem. Okay. So that's step one. Okay. Now, the next part of that, after you actually, let me back up just a little bit. Let's talk about Stir Shaken because a lot of people don't even realize what Stir Shaken is. So Stir Shaken is literally telling the carrier that you are trusted. Okay. And there's 3 levels of Stir Shaken attestation. The first one is the A level, and that's the one you want. B is partially verified, meaning that you don't have quite as much trust as you need in order to make it through every single carrier. C level, forget about it. You're not getting through. Now, here's the thing. That A level is pretty much right now what every carrier is going to require in order to put your call through. So, B, you still can kind of squeak through a little bit, but very, very few carriers out there are letting those through. So you want to make sure that you register that business profile and get that Stir Shaken. Do not even make a single phone call without it because it really is just kind of a waste of time at this point. Okay. Now, step 2. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's called freecallerregistry.com. This is a place where you can go and tell the analytics engines who you are. So there's First Orion, Haya, and TNS. These three analytics engines, what they do is they tell the carriers about you. They say, this is a good company, this is what they're doing, and they're not a spammer. If you do this in conjunction with the stir shaken, this is going to help revive those numbers that show up as spam. Okay. Now, here's step 3. Once you've done the first 2 things and you've actually told the carriers that you're good, the next thing, this is super important. Okay. You want to protect your numbers reputation, and you don't need any expensive softwares, tools, anything like that in order to do this. I know there are companies out there that have some fancy name for this, but essentially what you want to do is you want to make sure that you do not make too many phone calls from one number. Okay. And by that, I mean, you don't want to make 500 phone calls a day or something like that from a single number, unless you're paying somebody like First Orion or Haya to protect your number. And they actually have a service for that. It's a paid service. You can go check it out, which what they do there is they brand every single call, and also they make sure that your number is showing up clean, because every night they tell the carriers, hey, all that stuff that happened today, forget about it. These guys are good, right? But if you don't have the budget for doing that sort of thing, then the easier way to handle that is just to rotate your number. Don't make too many phone calls from that single caller ID, and you're going to be good to go. And the thing about Hot Prospector, we have a feature built in that automatically handles that. There's no extra charge or anything like that. All you need is just a couple extra numbers to rotate. And by the way, it's happening automatically behind the scenes. You don't have to do anything special to make that happen. Okay. Next, this is super important. You want to avoid short duration calls. The carriers know who spammers are based off of their footprint. If you are a spammer, you stick out like a sore thumb. But the problem is because people are in the habit of trying to do whatever it takes to get their phones answered, or whatever it takes to get more sales, they end up blending in with those spammers, and it makes them look like they are a spammer. Well, the fix for that, the simple fix, is to stop having short duration calls, because that is the thing that all the spammers do. So how do you fix that? Well, just let the call go to voicemail and leave a voicemail, right? Don't hang up immediately. Get that call. Make sure that, you leave a voicemail, and you're going to want to do that anyways, because if you do, what ends up happening is your answer rates start getting better and better and better. But on top of that, you're going to get calls from those voicemails. Maybe not as many as you might think, but you will get some, or that you want, but you'll get some. Okay. The goal obviously is to try to blend in and, as a legitimate business, and not with the spammers. So keep those calls under 100 per day per number. Make sure that you're leaving voicemails, and that is going to help you tremendously. Okay. Now, the next thing that you really, really want to do is you want to make sure that you're using caller ID. If you're making a phone call and, the person doesn't know who you are, they're, like I said earlier, over 75% less likely to answer your call in the first place. So show your caller ID. Now, the bad thing about that is that it's not 100% with the carriers, but every little bit counts. So just go in, put in your caller ID name, and make sure that that person who receives the call is, expecting to hear from you. Okay. Now, expecting to hear from you. Let's go to the next piece of this here. That's calling those leads within 5 minutes. So if you opt in yourself, think about it, put yourself in the shoes of the buyer for a second, or the lead for a second. If you opt in and nobody calls you for 30 minutes or an hour or 2 hours, you probably go on about your day, right? Of course. And then when they finally get you on the phone after you've seen this number keep popping up on your cell phone. You don't know who it is and you're avoiding to answer it. You've probably already changed your mind or maybe even forgot about it, right? That's what ends up happening all the time. In order to improve your reputation on your phone, you want to call that lead within 5 minutes. So think about it this way. You've now opted in. You show a caller ID. You get a call within 5 minutes. Sorry, let me back up. You've opted in. You get a call within 5 minutes from a person who looks like somebody who you're just looking at online. You're going to answer, right? So those two things are going to tremendously help you. The next thing is leave that voicemail. We talked about this again. Not only does it help you with making your durations of your calls a little longer, but it's going to help that reputation improve and stay improved. Okay. Now, the next thing after that is send out a text message, ideally from the same number. If you can't send it from the same number, that's, also going to help. At least say, hey, I just called you. Some people even will send the text, put the number in the text of the number they called from. But that's it. Basically calling and following up with the text, leaving the voicemail, calling within 5 minutes and putting a caller ID. This is the strategy that's going to protect that number for long term. Okay. Now let's talk about the cadence, because a lot of people ask, what's the perfect call cadence that is going to make sure that I don't show up as spam and also going to get me the best results? Well, day one, when that lead first pops up, again, you want to call that lead within 5 minutes. You want to leave a voicemail, send a text. Then instead of double, triple, quadruple, 5x dialing the lead like I've seen people do, which by the way is another red flag to the carriers. They see this and they know. When they do, then you show up as a spammer, right? But instead of doing that, what you want to do is leave that voicemail, send a text, and call 30 minutes later. And if they don't answer, call an hour or two later. Now you've spread out that call over a few hours, and that's really the prime time to be calling them anyways, within those first few hours, because they're obviously available, right? A lot of times you'll get them to answer on that second or third call. Worst case scenario, they're like, hey, I'm at work, call me later, and you can schedule that time. But that is the optimal day one. Day two, call them in the morning, call them in the evening. Day three, call them in the morning, call them in the evening. I have seen tremendous improvements in people's, not only their call reputations, but their conversions by following this strategy. It literally is the simplest way, and you can continue that strategy for a couple more days of, morning, afternoon, if you need to. I say somewhere between 6 to 10 is really where you want to stop, because after that, it pretty much just falls off the cliff as far as whether or not you're going to be getting that person to answer your calls. Okay. So I hope this has helped you in your mind come up with, at least some closure of why this is happening to you, and giving you the strategies that you need in order to improve these numbers. Listen, before implementation of this, we actually worked with an insurance company that was really struggling to get their calls answered, to get their phone calls answered, and so they could book appointments, and they were getting tons of spam complaints. Their answer rate was actually less than 8%. They were showing up as flagged as spam. But after we put this in place, their answer rates soared to over 32%. Their appointment bookings shot through the roof. I mean, it was like we did like magic. And all we did was what I just showed you today. So go out there, register that business profile, get your Stir Shaken registered, get your free caller registry done, register all your numbers. If you're an agency working for clients, register their numbers, set up multiple numbers inside of Hot Prospector so you can distribute those calls. Our system handles all of that for you automatically. And then make sure that you're implementing a proper cadence so you can follow the recommended timings that we talked about. That's going to keep your numbers clean and also get you the best rate of answer. Always leave voicemails, sending follow-up texts. Monitor your answer rates. Make sure that if something's happening, you see it and you fix it. Don't let it get bad. Okay? So that's it. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to you. If you do not have Hot Prospector already, you want to go get it, just go on over to hotprospector.com and register or sign up for an account. Look forward to working with you. See you soon.